Hello, awesome artists. I wanted to go over what you'll be doing this week for art. If you go onto Schoology to Mr. E's page and go down to the bottom where the blue folder is, it says third art session, info and assignment. That is this week's information and work that you'll be doing, all right? In it, you'll find a link to Florida Virtual School. You're using that in the other classes as well, so it should look familiar to you. Go to module 01.01. The link is provided once you open up the blue folder. It's entitled Lines. Only go through slides 1 through 7 for this week's lesson. Slides 1 through 7. All right? Read that before you do your project. Now, sometimes in the Florida Virtual School, there will be other little projects that you can do and things that they say, here, try this, do this work page. You are free to do those if you like, but Mr. E will always provide the assignment that I am requiring you to submit to me in the folder. So you'll see that link for the assignment in the folder. All right? So what we are creating this week is a still life. Now, what is a still life? Well, a still life is something that's still, and it's not a sleeping dog or a person that's in bed, all right? It's got to be kind of like an object. Think like a shoe or a house plant or an apple, all right? You can pick anything. I have this squishy. This could be my still life. I'm not gonna have it be my still life, but it could be. If you have a stuffed animal that you wanna use, you could use a stuffed animal. It's up to you. Mr. E, being the art person that I am, is gonna use a glue bottle for my still life. Now they call it a still life because it sits still. It doesn't move, which is great for drawing because you can see it right in front of you. And it doesn't change. So I'm gonna start though, because I'm gonna draw the same object 2 times. So I'm gonna make 2 boxes to draw in. Now, if you only have notebook paper at home, that is totally okay. Not a problem. If you have drawing paper or some light colored construction paper, that would work also. But lined notebook paper works just as well. So I'm gonna draw my object. Now, I don't want to draw itty bitty in the middle of my paper or at the top or way at the bottom. I want to fill up this middle part of my picture. So I'm going to start, because my glue bottle is a cylinder, I'm going to make kind of an oval type shape. Then I'm going to come down, and then do a curved line down here at the bottom. It has a label, so I want to do a curved line for the label because the bottle is a curve, it's a cylinder. So it wouldn't make sense to make just a straight line. I'm going to make the lid, that's a curved line. Do another oval on top. Now I'm using a Sharpie, so I'm trying to be careful not to make weird extra lines. But if you make a weird extra line, well, you probably have an eraser, you could just erase it, okay? And then I'm gonna make a line on my paper to show the table that it's sitting on. Don't put it down here at the bottom. If you put it at the bottom, it's gonna look like it's gonna fall off. We don't want it to fall off. So I told you you're gonna draw this twice. You're drawing the same exact thing again, which is kind of interesting because usually when we do this, we don't always do it exactly the same. There's changes, which is kind of cool. So I'll make the lid. Oops, I made my line go all the way around this time. So I'm gonna have a weird line going through the cap. Oh well, we can make that work. Artists are good at that. All right, and then I'll make my line for the table. So there we go. We've got 2 bottles. Now, we are not going to color these in. Did you hear that? We're not going to color these in. We are going to use lines to color. Now, you're allowed to use crayons or markers or color pencils. If you have oil pastels, you could even use oil pastels. That's up to you. But I'm going to get out a color to start with. Now, you do not have to use realistic colors. You can kind of have fun with this and use some bright colors, or maybe you can use all your favorite colors. Now, I am using diagonal lines for my background. I do not want to use diagonal lines anywhere else when I'm done on this one. All right, so I'm just going to use diagonal lines. And diagonal lines are kind of like a line that's half a letter X, or think of it as a sliding board. It's a line that is kind of slanted. Now, if you want to use 2 colors for your background, you can. That's not a problem. I could use a dark green, or I could use another color, but you know, Mr. E loves his green. So I'm going to put some dark green lines in between my light green lines. So we're not coloring this in, but by the time that we add all these lines, it's going to have a lot of color, don't you think? So even though it's not completely colored in, it still has a lot of color. All right, I'm going to use a blue for the bottom. Now for the bottom, I'm going to use a curved line. Kind of looks like a scale of a fish, doesn't it? Or a mermaid tail. You want to pick a pattern that you can do, not too big and not too small. Sometimes when we start making really small patterns, we get bored or tired, or our hand starts hurting, and then we start getting messy. We don't want that. So pick a pattern that you can maintain, something that's interesting, but won't take you forever to do. So I made a scaly bottom for the bottle on the table. Now, even though glue is white, I'm not going to use white on the glue. I'm going to have fun and use a little bit of a different color. This time, I'm going to use a wiggly line, a wavy line. And if I want to put another color in there, I can. That's fine. So all the spots that are white, I'm putting some wiggly lines on them. Cool. I'm going to get this red-violet color, and I'm going to make spirals on the bottle's label. A spiral is like a circle that keeps going in, like a snail shell. Kind of looks like a letter 6 or a cinnamon roll too. So I'm going to put lots of spirals. And then last but not least, I'm going to do the bottle. And I'm going to do vertical or horizontal lines across it. Like that. Isn't that neat? I think it looks really cool. Well, if all you have is crayons at home, that's okay. Use crayons. But if you have something else like color pencils or markers, on your second one, try another art supply, okay? So here, I'm gonna make zigzags. Mr. E is using a highlighter because that was what I had next to me. I got some bright, colorful highlighters. Now I might add another color to that because, or I could just use blue again and make a thinner line. I just felt like it was a little bit too much white on the table. So I'm gonna add a little bit more color. There we go, that's better. Not quite as much white as before. All right. I've got yellow highlighter now. Now yellow is kind of hard to see sometimes, but I'm gonna make polka dots. I know I said use lines for your patterns, but polka dots are in the line family. That is very bright. So bright. That looks pretty cool. So that is the background color. Then I'm going to go to my glue bottle itself, and I'm going to use, I think I'll use vertical lines on this one. If you notice, I'm also using colors that are a little bit different from each other because I don't want it to blend together. I want them to stand out. So this bright pink really stands out against the blue and that yellow. I've got purple for my label. And here, I know this probably has a formal name, but I'm not sure what it is. It looks like when we make the top of a castle. Do you know what I mean? And it has those little lookout spots where the knights could go between and protect the castle. It kind of has that look of dental molding, which is inside houses at the top between the ceiling and the wall. Kind of looks like that. There we go. Well, that's interesting. It got a little messy, but not too bad. And then I only got one more color highlighter, which is good because I only got one more spot. So here, I'm gonna do a diagonal line going this direction. There we go. And here we have it. You're doing a still life, like a shoe or an apple or something that you could set in front of you and draw. Draw it twice, and then use patterns to fill it in. And do it 2 different ways. Now, if you only have crayons, that's fine. Just maybe use different colors and different patterns on your second one. All right? Okay, guys, I can't wait to see this. Don't forget to upload it to Schoology once you're finished. Have a great day. Bye-bye now.